What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. I want to tackle probably the most controversial topic on this channel, and that usually pops up when I'm mentioning Marvel characters that I really need in my collection. And there are a few, it feels like the Marvel Legends team consider to be Andy Garcia, Kevin Costner, and Sean Connery. They're untouchable. And typically when I mention these characters, there's a nice amount of comments in there that are like, what's the problem? Here's just a few of them. And these aren't like awful, terrible comments. It's just simply what, some of y'all are thinking about this. I don't understand how it's offensive to do the Mandarin. When they just released Lady Mandarin, wouldn't that be offensive? Makes no sense. As far as the Mandarin is offensive BS, I sincerely doubt that anyone is actually offended by the thought of a Marvel Legends comic based Mandarin. And so let's see, there's a couple. I know there's just one more that I want to pull up as well, because I don't feel like people are seeing it from the whole picture. Here's another one. Why are they so scared to give us a Mandarin figure? I understand the racist caricature argument. Just do the green version from the animated show. All right, so let's take a look at the Mandarin, because he's a tricky character in the sense that back in the day when he was created, the world, US was deep into Vietnam. There were seriously heavy, tense feelings about that whole conflict. Comic book creators were not so concerned with, hey, let's make this honorable portrayal of Asian characters in our books. Even the faces, the good guys, the heroes were still kind of like, you read it now, 2024 eyes. It's like, ouch, this is cringy. But you have to understand it was done in a certain time period. We can't apply 2024 values to something back in the day. And we can look at it and go, it's probably not the greatest to continue making the example going forward, but there are ways to update, modernize it, and go forward. With the Mandarin, I looked at Marvel.com's website because I want to see what their default, what their base view of the Mandarin is, at this point in time. Here's what it looks like. Most of the elements that I consider key for the Mandarin are right here. I think the long flowing hair is definitely one of those distinguishing elements to the character. The goatee, I think one thing that's really triggers, one thing that really pops on it's going into stereotype land is when the goatee is starting to hit a little different style. I think this one with the goatee is a fine compromise. We can do this. I'm cool with it. The most important thing with the Mandarin, he's got different looks. He's got like a straight up warlord look where he's not even wearing much clothes. He's got a cloak, he's got a loincloth, and some boots. That's it. But I think the biggest deal with him, gotta have that hair, gotta have the 10 rings showing. I think the suit look is just boring, but it's not something where if that's the only way we can get the Mandarin, I don't want it. I think that works out okay. But in context, Hasbro, not Toy Biz, because I think that's also key and important, has already done a Mandarin figure that I think they just translated to 6-inch Marvel Legends form. I'm like, that's awesome. What a great figure. And that's this one. And this is a really awesome, well-detailed figure. I mean, check out all the detail on this armor. That looks cool. And I'm not sure, I'm not Asian, clearly. So I can't say if this is offensive or not, but I feel like this looks really cool. And really, as an action figure collector, that's my main concern. But again, not being an Asian guy or of Asian descent, I can't say, hey, this is not offensive, because I shouldn't be offended. I mean, I wouldn't be offended by it, right? And then, when you think of other Mandarin looks, this is what a lot of people, what immediately comes to mind when you think of the character. This guy in the robe, that's Mandarin. And, that look is fine. Toy Biz gave us a figure with this exact look. And, I have the figure. I think you guys have seen me talk about this figure very often. There you go. So you can see the side-by-side comparison. This is what Toy Biz provided with that And you can see this figure probably plays into all the stereotypes that weren't a big deal prior to, say, 2020, but it's gotten a lot more heightened since then. This robe looks really great. It has all kinds of detail. I mean, they sculpted the mess out of this thing. Look at that. That is awesome. Even the flame parts, they're not just painted on here. They're like carved into the plastic, really nicely done. I don't want this version. I don't want the robe version as a Mandarin. It's a figure. It's a Marvel Legends figure from Hasbro. And, not necessarily because of the robe and I'm offended by it. It's just because it makes for a crappy, articulated, highly articulated figure. So you can see here, hey, I mean, I've cut little indents here so you can see, but that was literally so I could get some kind of movement out of these sleeves. And I think if I really, really wanted to risk it, I wanted to risk it all, I could cut maybe in the back here, slip this onto a better articulated Marvel Legends body, maybe in the Vulcan mold, and just slap this soft goods robe over it. There I go. I've got a Mandarin for 2024. But like I said, those sleeves just hinder so much of that look. And the Mandarin is kind of interesting in the sense that he's got plenty of comic book looks that it's not like the Hasbro team can only use one super offensive look and just what do you want us to do? So here is this is back from 2018. Again, I think everything changed with how people view different cultures after 2020. We're home during the pandemic, and there was a lot of inflection, a lot of introspection, thinking like, hey, this isn't right. So this is the malevolence of the Mandarin. Love that headline. And Mandarin's taking on Punisher way back in 2018. That's wild. I'd buy that book. So this is like how they show Mandarin, just like, hey, here he is back in the day. And I kind of feel like that minus the stereotypical caricature look, it's a pretty cool supervillain costume. And we got some more stories with the Mandarin. We don't really see him in the rest of these walkthrough. Here we go. We got him, Lady Mandarin, was already referenced earlier in the comments. So, I mean, this one I almost feels a little bit more stereotypical. He's got like a big grinning face here and or smirk ponytail. I don't know where it stops and starts in terms of, hey, this look is offensive. But we also have this one with the robe. This is much more that Toy Biz figure that I have that I showed you all. And this is one version. This is from the really great Kurt Busiek, Sean Shin version of Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man. Awesome read if you did not check it out right after Heroes Return. So definitely give that a whirl. And here's Controlling History. And this is not that long ago. I'm sure, by modern 2024 standards, this was a minute ago. But this is one of the more recent stories from the Mandarin and Tony Stark. And this is Invincible Iron Man 510. So he's been around. I think they've kind of written him off for right now. But you can see all the different looks in portraits, different options they could go with for a Mandarin figure. And it's not like we haven't seen Mandarin in action figure form since, that old one from Marvel Universe. We've gotten this one from Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. This is a really awesome figure. The detailing on this is superb. Now, the rings here are kind of lame because they don't have any individuality whatsoever. They're just 10 rings or 10 bangles, really. But this has really great detailing throughout. Now, I don't know if we just need to get a redesign of Mandarin so we can get something where we incorporate this kind of detail into his average regular look. Down for it. But it feels like we've got the basis, and it's not like, oh man, we can't have any Asian culture represented at all in this outfit. And this is one of the main bad guys from Shang-Chi. And I would kind of think maybe there's some elements here that could be interpreted as offensive. I just don't know. And I'm not going to say that's not offensive to Asian people. I don't know. But there's some other looks from Mandarin that I think we could still go with from Hasbro. This shouldn't set everybody running for the hills and protesting Hasbro. So we've got this look, and this is most likely the safest version we can get in figure form without offending anyone. And this is him with his armored gear. This is what he was rocking during Acts of Vengeance. This is fine. I don't dislike this look at all. Maybe it's a little bit too basic, a little bit too generic, but still a fine outfit. They'd have to do some sculpting, and he's got the 10 rings showing. Now there's definitely a comic book basis for this. He rocked this attire long enough that this can be considered worthwhile, useful canon. Again, it seems a little bit too plain. Now, for me, my preference for the Mandarin outfit, and maybe it's just a matter of, hey, how can this work in a way that makes sense? Now, this one is my preference. This is from Alex Ross's version of that classic Silver Age look of Mandarin. Now, we've got the Fu Manchu. Now, maybe that's offensive. Again, I'm not going to state if it is or not. But we don't have the crazy teeth that we saw in some of those offensive covers, which is like not good, guys. Not good at all. I mean, with my 2024 lens, and probably even my 1980 lens when I might have stumbled onto this. Well, let's not be ridiculous. Maybe my 1999, 2015 eyes would be like, whoa, that's crazy. I think this one is still viable because Alex Ross did this in 2023. And if this look for Mandarin was so offensive, I don't think they would have commissioned him to do this piece or released it in the timeless Marvel Villains book. So that kind of makes me think that maybe, as long as there's no other emphasis on any other easily caricature aspects of this look, this is something we could get. And you can't quite make it out because he's got the Wakanda Forever pose going, but he's got a big M on this, on a circle on that, and that's so cornballish supervillain. I don't know who would find that look offensive. Again, I'm not going to be the end-all deciding voice on that. I think we know that at least two of the guys on the marketing team for the Marvel Legends team are Asian, so they probably are going to go, yeah, this look is super offensive, dude. What are you talking about? Or if it's not offensive, maybe they're working on our behalf to try to get it out there. We'll see. Clearly, that armored silver outfit could work. It should work. There's no reason that could not be a viable figure that they put out to us. But I think this Alex Ross version would make for so much more of a dynamic figure and just look cool on the shelf, fully representing Iron Man's arch enemy. So we've got that look, and who knows if that's going to actually happen, if we will get a Mandarin figure at all. If you note my t-shirt, I'm spoiling the other one. I'm sure you know. And that is Man-Ape, aka M'Baku. Now, when I went to Marvel.com, this is putting these images together and found this interesting. This is what pops up. Now, I think Man-Ape looks cool. He's got a great design. And I don't know. I don't take his whole thing literal, like I guess some people who could be offended would be. But we've got this cool mask helmet type deal that he's rocking, the fur of a white gorilla. I mean, I don't know. The naming is not the best, but yeah. So I think maybe if they just call him M'Baku, that would be a big change that maybe opens up some other avenues in terms of getting his figure done. Now, one look for sure, I do not want, much like the robe look for Mandarin, but this case, I feel like it really does lend itself to getting all the complaints and all of the, that's not great. And that's this look here, where it's literally just a dude, a black guy, you can see his head, rocking a full-on ape suit. And I don't think that's really clever and interesting design so much as some of the other looks that we could go with for him. And it's just I don't know, something boring about it. And I think it's just inviting more controversy and complaining and issues that they don't need. Now, because M'Baku's become such a major player in the MCU, Marvel Comics, of course, is following suit. Like, oh, let's change him and redesign his look. This is what M'Baku is looking like nowadays, I suppose, in Black Panther. This is an interesting look for him. He's got a, what looks to be a white gorilla skeleton rocking on his right shoulder. Definitely seems like something he would be wearing in Eternia. He's got the mohawk, a little stripe down here, and it looks like some white ape gorilla medallions there on the front of his lapel and right there on his belt centerpiece. And you can see he's got like a ring or something, excuse me, that's giving him the powers, the structure of a white ape. So I don't know. This is certainly a different look. And but I feel like this design is really cool. It's just not for M'Baku. Like I would buy this as random Wakanda who is bothering T'Challa and the crew, but I don't need, maybe he's M'Baku's right hand man. Like I would buy this figure, this whole design as a totally separate character, but not for Black Panther's main secondary arch rival. To me, I think this is the look that maybe still too dangerous for Hasbro to touch, but this would be my preferred look for an M'Baku figure. And it's this one where it's very clear he's just rocking the pelt and the whole top portion of the white ape, white gorilla. He's got like this superhero, super villain pouchy belt. He's got the skirt piece. He's got green biker shorts, basically, some green straw boots. He's got this whole look where he looks like a comic book character. Maybe they limited the offensive nature to people who would protest otherwise down. I mean, we can clearly see he's a dude, and I don't know. I think this is the more interesting look for him, and definitely something that I think would make for a fun figure. And there's other reasons I had that. I mean, here he is tackling the Avengers. He's got Black Panther in one hand, Captain America in another. And I just like kind of the straw deal with the loincloth piece and the boots. This is something I would like to see incorporated on a Mantis figure if we got her pre-Guardians of the Galaxy look. So actually, she still rocked that. So I like to see this replicated in figure form with him. And I don't know how viable that is, or if they would be worried that, oh man, everyone's coming for us. And if that is the case, here's another look. Here's another option I'd be perfectly fine buying and going, all right, this is my M'Baku, not Manet, but this is M'Baku for my collection. And that, ironically, is from one of my favorite, if not my favorite, comic book cartoon, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Here's that look. Clearly, he's rocking the pelt now of the white gorilla. He's got an armored chest piece. Figure that's the chest portion of this white ape. And he's got the white loincloth. So he's got a different look. That's certainly not him being a fully wrapped up in the whole top portion or the full skin of the white gorilla. And here you go. I like this look because it's got like the big gauntlets with the fur, the furry tights, shorts, whatever way you want to describe it. And it shows clearly that he's a dude. And I think this look is something that they really could incorporate it. You saw in the MCU, M'Baku kind of had that where he had like some armor, and then portions of his attire had the white ape represented on there. But I think that makes for a really great look for him. And is it possible? Who the heck knows? Maybe it's just like Hasbro, like, we're not touching that either. But I think it makes for a really fun looking figure. And, if they were able to pull it off in a cartoon and people weren't going, what are you doing? I think it's okay for a figure. I mean, just say Earth's Mightiest Heroes look. So that's Mandarin. That's M'Baku. But I also want to call attention to another thing that I think is equally problematic with my Marvel Legends collection. It's something that I hope that they will make strides on improving as they continue along. We've gotten some really great female figures as of late. The Black Widow is just perfect. The Shriek figure, really great in terms of articulation, how she can pose, her stature. They did a really good job of those two figures. They're awesome. And then there are other figures where I feel like they're trying to use this Okay, women all look the same way. They have the same body type, and we're just going to put them out in the factory so as not to offend anyone by showing women with different physiques. I think it's kind of goofy and silly on multiple ways because we've got dudes here in this line where we've got Submariner. You can see the difference between him and Reed Richards. And if Reed Richards was on the Submariner body, it would look ridiculous. And Captain America's big and brawny. You know what? And he's different physique wise from Black Panther. No one's complaining about this. And I feel like there's this weirdness of, oh man, we don't want to make these female figures too we don't want to make it look like Frank Cho designed these figures. But I mean, you can go in the real world and see, oh look, they're women don't all have the same bodies. And I feel like that is definitely something they're struggling so hard to do, to straddle this imaginary line of let's not be offensive with rendering these comic book characters kind of sort of how they look in the comic books. And the biggest offender, no doubt to me, is Emma Frost, the White Queen. Here is a relatively recent cover image of Emma Frost. I'm sure you're noticing a few things with all these different images of her. And it is not that you're going to see her in church rocking this outfit. Like, that's just like, oh, whoa. She gets your attention. That's her whole deal. And there's some prominent aspects to multiple attires, all the attires with this look. And, you know, that's what she looks like. And you can go around and you can see some women are super bashful with how they present themselves, what they're wearing. Others do not care. There's this thing called Instagram. Just want the Marvel Legends team to go, because it's just unrealistic to go with this. We're going to tone it down and not have any discrepancy with our female figure bodies. I think that's really odd and really weird. So here's just another quick look at how Emma Frost should look in figure form and how clearly not like Susan Storm. I don't care about that dumb, ridiculous cutout look they gave her. That was goofy. And even with the whole highly sensible, we cannot offend anyone mentality going on over at Marvel Comics, DC Comics particular. This is the cover for Emma Frost getting married to Tony Stark. This is absolutely not, oh no, we're going to tone everything about her down. They didn't. It's like, this is what Emma Frost looks like. So we're not going to hide it, even with her wedding dress, because it's modern times. That just doesn't make sense. It's not true to the character. Now, if another character was dressed up like that, maybe it'd be a little weird, but that's Emma Frost. And we got to stay a little accurate to how these body types look. This is the most recent Emma Frost figure, and it's so disappointed for so many reasons. But one of them is what's happening. How is she even keeping her shirt up? I mean, it's kind of embarrassing because they're like, here's Emma Frost in her risque outfit, but it's like we're too afraid to do, to incorporate gravity and to make that outfit true to the comic book, make her body true to the comic book. And it's just really bizarre and really weird. They can get away with it with some other figures, but I think with kind of the more sex pot type characters like Emma Frost, Black Cat, it's a little weird when they start trying to tone things down. And so here's another image of Emma Frost. So it's kind of like, this is what she looks like. And it's very clear she's not, the bashful, shy wallflower. She's up in your face, and that's part of her whole gimmick, her whole deal, and how she's constantly been written. Now, I mentioned characters that should not look like she's posing and posting bikini pics on Instagram. One of them would be Kitty Pryde. This is, from this House of Krakoa era in the comic books. You can see she's not going to be stepping out on the old school Sports Illustrated cover. Like, bam, look at this. That's not who she is. And if she were drawn or done in a figure like that, I would say that's wrong too. So like if they had like the voluptuous mold for every female figure, I'd go, this is ridiculous. Why does Kitty Pryde look like this? That's wrong. But then of course, I look at my Marvel Legends collection and I look at my Kitty Pryde figure and I look at her compared to my Emma Frost, and this is where it's funny and it's weird. You notice that I don't know why I keep calling her Kitty Frost. Kitty Pryde has more of a physique than Emma Frost. I'm glad I didn't say Emma Pride, but it's just weird. And I think as starved for attention and detail as we are with every figure, we want them to use the best mold possible. I think Hasbro's Marvel Legends team also needs to consider we need a more showy female body for those characters that fit in that mindset, that category, the Black Widows, the Emma Frost, maybe Scarlet Witch based on the time period that she's rocking. Not so much for our Jean Greys or Kitty Prydes. I think Storm's probably on the other category too. There's tons of characters where we should have some distinction between how they look. And just like we don't give Cyclops the Hercules mold, which would be absurd, it's not a one size fit all for our female figures either. So hopefully we'll see some ground on that. Like with this recent Wasp figure, I'm not expecting Jan to have some bombshell new body sculpt. The one they gave her is fine, but there are others. I need to be a bit more cautious and go, oh, let's risk it. Let's do it. I think it's possible. And I don't think there's going to be too much offense. It's like, this is what the figure looks like. I mean, this is what the character looks like in the comic books. What do you want us to do? So, which of these three, or not three, what do you think is the most likely that we'll see? Will we get a Mandarin figure? Will we see an M'Baku? Will we start to see some better, more accurate female sculpts coming down the line next year or two for Marvel Legends? As always, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to reading your comments on this one. I think this is going to be very interesting. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.